Alright, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Out of the Park Baseball. We are still simming through the future of our Chicago White Sox, and we begin this episode having just concluded the 2025 season. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and sim forward to opening day 2026. Alright, we are here on opening day 2026. As you can see, our lineup has shifted a little bit. One thing that stood out to me is that this guy, Robert Moore, takes over the leadoff and shortstop spot. Now, Blaze Alexander is still on the team, as you'll come to see, and you'll see that they are actually extremely similar players, except maybe Robert Moore's a bit younger. He's up from AA, so we'll just see kind of how that position battle turns out. As far as I'm concerned, everything's still looking pretty similar. Gavin Sheets has departed, but he's been replaced by Alec Boehm, who in 2022 for us, if you'll remember, he was already doing some platooning. He got 82 games, 70 starts in that championship year, so good opportunity for him to kind of seize a position in the majors. But as far as everything else, our pitching, we still have Bagwell and Ruiz in the rotation, and then we still have Peralta and Deason in the pen. We added Jameson Taillon, which is kind of interesting, but he is old and not good anymore, really, so can't get too excited about that. But Jack Flaherty is an interesting add for the bullpen as well, and Mauricio Cabrera, so we'll just kind of see how that goes. I don't have the highest hopes for this team, but who knows? They kind of surprised me last year. If you'll remember, we actually made the playoffs. So let's go ahead, and I wanted to look at our Major League shortlist just to kind of check in, see how some guys are doing. So Albies, Castro, Forsythe retired. Moncada has moved to Minnesota, and that is a big one. So if you come in and you look at him, you'll see he signed just for 2 years, $6 million. So he'd kind of fallen off the past 2 seasons. Maybe wasn't quite the asset he once was. If I were Minnesota, I would probably play him at third base. Okay, anything else? Sheets is in Oklahoma City in the Dodgers organization. And then Arenado's still in New York, but overall everyone's still pretty similar there. Looking at pitchers, we all know this, Jace Fry retired. Adbear is now a 1-star relief pitcher in Single A at age 31, so that's a real bummer for him. I imagine he's had some injuries. How do I look at that again? I imagine, injury history, sorry. It would appear so, but most of them look pretty minor to me. But yeah, he's just kind of fallen off. But he was a pretty big part of our team for some years, so bummer to see that. All right, and Nick Wells is in the Red Sox organization, and kind of similar story with him, it looks like. All right, so without further ado, I think we should just go ahead and sim through the season. We're trying to get through 3 seasons in this episode, so let's see how this team ends up. We are back at the end of the regular season 2026. White Sox win 91 games and take the Central, so they're still going pretty strong. After what seemed like a bad 2024, they rebound and make the playoffs in 2 consecutive years. Just taking a look at things right now, Eloy, another really good year for him. Not maybe quite to the level of his MVP campaign last season, but still really, really good year from Eloy. Who else? I wanted to point out that Jake Lamb joined the team, so that's pretty cool. He was a minor league free agent signing on opening day. That's pretty interesting. But he came up and provided some solid slugging. Anyone else I want to take a look at? Oh, and another thing I'd like to point out, Ignacio Fierro. He was one of our prospects who was signed as an international free agent. He made his debut late in this season and kind of tore it up. So maybe he has a future as a DH or outfielder. I'm excited about him. Jean Carvajal, who was another one of our prospects, is kind of really coming to his own, and he hits 18 home runs this year. That's pretty impressive, and 2.8 win season. He did make an all-star as well as a second baseman, so that's pretty impressive for him. Let's see, Robert Moore did a pretty solid job. He did basically what Blaze Alexander does. I just want to come in and maybe take a look at the lineup real quick. Blaze still on the team, still getting some action, but it seems like Robert Moore may have supplanted him, so we'll see. Blaze Alexander still signed through 2030. Ian Happ is still on the team. Maciel is still on the team. Austin Beck was our starting right fielder, and he actually had a terrific year, so good for him. Yeah. Langolier's good year, it looks like. Yep. One of his best years, actually. And then I wanted to look at I'll take a look at Willie and Rutherford as well. Willie, extremely typical. He's pretty consistent as far as what you can expect with him. No complaints though. And then Rutherford, once again, he's like Willie, really consistent player who's really quality. He makes the All-Star game again, and yeah, I mean, good player, you know. Still really solid player. Might make the move to left field. He's also a free agent coming up, so we'll see if he returns. I would like to see him return because he's a great player. Bagwell and Ruiz had big years. Ruiz had a fantastic year. Good for him. Good to see him make the All-Star game, and then Bagwell also really solid. Yeah, the starters as a whole are kind of shaky. Deason had a nice year, and he actually kind of came up into the rotation and started 17 games, so that was good. But rotation probably a little shaky after those two, but those two really hold it down. All right, I think we're good to go. So let's go ahead and sim through the playoffs. We can go to the playoffs begin. Sim there. And now we can go to playoff coverage, playoff tree. And as you can see, we will be facing the Seattle Mariners. So let's go until the playoffs end and see if we can grab a playoff series win, which we haven't done since we started simming through everything. Mariners take game 1, tied up. White Sox rubber match. Mariners win. So another ALDS exit. That's a bummer for the White Sox. Let's see, Nationals and Blue Jays will play in the World Series. If you look to the right, you can see Juan Soto had a pretty massive year for them, but it's the Blue Jays who come out on top. Good for them. They grab a World Series. And just like that, we will move on to we'll look at awards maybe a little bit. No, I don't think we'll look at awards. We're trying to get through things pretty fast. So we're gonna go ahead and advance to opening day 2027 and get that show on the road. It is now 2027 and Blake Rutherford is gone, and that is a real bummer. You look at this lineup and things have changed quite a bit, I would say. Fierro in right isn't that surprising. They've signed this guy Ryan Vilade, who is a really good third baseman, to replace Jake Lamb, so solid move there. Jonabel Laureano is your new starting center fielder. And I saw this guy Wyatt Cross playing catcher, and I was freaked out, but then it turns out Shea Langolier just had like a one-day injury, so he's still here, and Blaze Alexander is still around as well. He may be playing more of a utility role these days. They also signed Alex Wood, which is pretty cool. So as a whole, I'd say they've really upgraded their pitching by adding some solid talent. Deason will go back to the bullpen, but pitching staff looking pretty solid because Ruiz and Bagwell still up top are studs, and they've really kind of improved some of the other rotation spots lower in the rotation. So that's cool. Yeah, so I wanted to go take a look at some of these short lists now, see where Rutherford ended up mostly. So we're going to look at the active roster short list, and we can see, where is he? Blake Rutherford is in Houston. So, and he's signed a contract through 2023 for $18 million a year. So that is going to be a $127 million contract. So he's going to get his big payday. Good for him. And he will be with the Astros for the foreseeable future. Ian Happ is a free agent. So we'll see what kind of happens with him. The other thing I want to do was maybe check in on the prospect shortlist one last time. We've got some guys that have ended up in sort of AAA, but don't really look like they're going anywhere. Doug Evans is a guy I really wanted to check in on. And yeah, he put together a really solid 2026 with Seattle. So he was a guy I drafted, and he's got really sick batting ratings. So good to see him succeed. Let's see, Joe Great Jr. Let's check in on him. He's just kind of busted in the majors. Brennan Davis, hasn't really done much in the majors. He's 27 now too. And then Van Kohler, let's look at him. After a good 2025, a bad 2026. So let's look at pitchers real quick. Okay, it's just Bagwell. So I wanted to maybe look. Let's see. Adbear is a free agent. He looks like he may be done. Anyone else worth noting? Mason Denenberg is in Cincinnati, and not too established there. Paxton is in AAA now. He looks like he tore his UCL last year and is still recovering, so he's going to be about done. But what a great career for James Paxton, no doubt. And then other guy I really wanted to look at was Alcantara. And you know what? Still doing his thing in KC. It's not exactly, superstar numbers, but he's still a solid major league player. So now we've checked on everybody. Let's get to the end of 2027. 2027 ends, and the White Sox finish a perfect 500, 81 and 81. But the season has some pretty amazing performances, and chief among those is definitely Ignacio Fierro. Now, you'll remember this guy for being an international free agent signing in 2020 for us, and he came out, and he just happened to have what might be the best rookie season of all time, and I don't say that lightly, so we'll see if he can grab an MVP, but 61 home runs in your rookie year is absolutely insane, so he'll be definitely in the running. Pretty typical season from Eloy, not quite to the level of his previous two, but more in line with what you would expect earlier in his career. Still solid though, and 45 home runs is pretty insane. Brandon Belt is on the team now. That's pretty interesting. Willie Calhoun, he actually had a pretty good season, although he could only play in 104 games, but he still did his thing. Laureano, actually, he had what appears to be also a really nice year. So good for him. He kind of had a tough draw trying to replace Blake Rutherford, but he did an admirable job. Reese, I noticed, kind of slowed down. Not his best year, but we'll see if he can bounce back from that. His ratings still look pretty good. His control is absolutely elite, as you can see. He leads the. This is the fourth time he's led the American League in least walks allowed per 9 innings. And then Bagwell, another big year for him. He could be in Cy Young contention, but we'll just see about that. He did have the lowest whip. So that I want to check in on Rutherford at the very least, kind of see what kind of year he had. So we're going to go look at our active roster shortlist for hitters. Where is he? Rutherford in Houston. Ratings have really started to come down. He's now a 2.5-star player. And wow, awful year for him. He must have suffered some sort of injury that took him out for most of the year. Let's see, he tore his latimus dorsi muscle, and then also missed 2 weeks in September with blurred vision. So bad year when he played. He didn't play very much. Ratings really coming down, and the Astros on the hook with this contract for a long time. So kind of an albatross there, it's looking like. Shame to see Rutherford decline. Let's check in on Arenado, because we haven't done that in a while, and he's still doing a pretty nice job. I would say definitely on a Hall of Fame trajectory. In fact, if he retired today, he would probably make it close to 500 career home runs at 497. So good for him. Ian Happ is on San Diego now. I'm checking on Moncada, and he's kind of slowed down. But so he gave Chicago quite a few good years. So that's sort of the good news with him. Bohm in Boston. Actually, decent year in Boston. Slugging 500 is pretty good. 21 dingers in 87 games. I mean, that's something you can definitely build on. Let's see, did Blaze have a nice year? He did. He had a 391 OBP, but he didn't play all that much. So that is going to do it for 2027. So we're going to try to squeeze in one more season. So I will see you guys at the beginning of 2028. Quick update in between. Juan Salazar is your AL MVP with the championship-winning Mariners. So pretty impressive from him. He deserved it, definitely. But Fierro, great year for him as well. He grabs 4 first-place votes. As far as the Cy Young goes, Sam Bagwell finished 5th. I'm laughing because there's a pitcher in this game that's been generated whose name is Matt Harvey. It was really good, but it's not the Matt Harvey that is currently pitching. M.A.T. Harvey. He may be a real player. Doesn't look like it. He was drafted in 2021. But yeah, he's doing pretty well for the Indians, so that is pretty funny. Let's move on to opening day 2028. 2028 now. We've made it, and I'm going to officially say this is the first year where our team doesn't really resemble teams in past years. Norge Ruiz appears to be out of the team. We have Willie Calhoun also gone, so we'll have to check in on those guys. Then we have Fierro still around. That's good. His ratings have actually improved, which is nice. They seem to reflect more the stats he has. Eloy is also still around, and as is Shea Langoliers, but a lot of new faces have kind of come into the team over the years. No Alec Boehm, it's Chris Businger. Robert Moore at shortstop, he's turned into a pretty nice player. But yeah, not a guy that I drafted. So Corey Knable in the bullpen's pretty interesting. He's 36 now, though. Let's go ahead and check in on some of those players I was mentioning that have departed the team. Okay, so the player I wanted to look at was Willie Calhoun, who has moved on to San Francisco. That's pretty interesting with him being a left-handed power hitter. Signed on for a 1-year deal. So pretty cheap deal for them, so can't fault you there, San Francisco. And then I wanted to also check in on Norge Ruiz, who I'm having trouble finding. There he is. Moved on to St. Louis, where he will be until 2032. 5 years, $48 million. Really good pitcher for us. I mean, he was worth 26 WAR, kept his ERA under 4 the whole time. A lot of strikeouts and not a lot of walks, so he'll be missed. He won 89 games in Chicago as well. So Sam Bagwell becomes the de facto ace of the rotation if he wasn't already. And with all that in mind, I think it's time we sim until the end of the season. Finally, to conclude the episode, we finished 2028 with 53 wins, 109 losses, and 43 games out of first place. So we just missed it. Good seasons from pretty much nobody in pitching. Bagwell, bad year. This guy, Dan Feithian, was our lone all-star. And so he kind of replaced Laureano. It looks like he was acquired partway through or something like that. Can I see that, actually? He was released after winning the Rookie of the Month award. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, he ended up on the team. And Shea Langoliers had a 3-1 season. And Fierro, pretty good as well. But Eloy had a bad year as well. 26 home runs, but 80 OPS plus. That's pretty bad, especially for him. So not much positive I can say, but I do want to take a look around the league. Maybe see some of our former players if they had a nice season. So I'm going to go active roster. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to view batting stats. Okay, so Arenado had a nice year. You know what? Moncada had a nice kind of rebound year. After having some maybe not so great years. Let's see, Rutherford. Well, Rutherford put up positive WAR, which is nice. He must have played some good defense because he only had 77 OPS plus. So not quite the mega albatross yet, but they are still paying him 18 million a year. And then Willie, how did you do? Willie only wow. Okay, so he played 10 games in San Francisco, and then went to the Minnesota organization. Was minor league free agent signing, and maybe didn't do so good with Minnesota, but confusing year for him. But he hit 5 homers in the majors, it looks like. So he may be declining. I think his career has kind of fallen off, but good player. I mean, he was a good player for us. And yeah, that's really all I have to say for this episode. That's obviously a souring note to end things on, but we are reaching the point where this team is not what it used to be. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, so join me next episode. We'll do 4 more seasons, and we'll see if we'll keep going any further. I don't know after that, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.